I never thought my life would unravel like this. At 43, standing in my crumbling suburban home just outside Columbus, Ohio, I'm drowning in a marriage that's turned colder than the coffee in my chipped mug. My name is Melissa, and for 18 years, I've shared a bed with Greg, a man whose secrets are starting to seep through the cracks of our strained existence. Lately, the air between us feels heavier, charged with unspoken truths, and I've caught whispers of debts and desperation that chill me to the bone. But nothing could have prepared me for the moment I stumbled upon a betrayal so vile it shattered everything I thought I knew. What did Greg do that pushed me to the edge of my own morality, teetering on a decision I never imagined I'd face? Picture this. I'm standing at my kitchen window at dawn, watching the first slivers of light creep over the patchy lawn of my little suburban plot just outside Columbus, Ohio. The air smells of damp earth and yesterday's rain, and I'm clutching a chipped mug of coffee that's gone cold in my hands. My name's Melissa, and at 43, I've carved out a life here in this modest two-story house with peeling paint and a roof that drips when the storms roll in. It's not much, but it's mine, or ours, I should say. I've been married to Greg for 18 years now. He's 45, a burly guy with a scruffy beard and eyes that always look like they've seen too much. He's a mechanic, always tinkering under the hood of some beat-up car, but the money's never quite enough. We've got no kids, and that's a hollow spot in my chest I don't talk about much. Instead, I keep busy with my part-time gig as a receptionist at a dentist's office downtown, answering phones and smiling through the monotony. Life with Greg isn't what it used to be. We bicker over the stack of unpaid bills on the kitchen counter, the red ink screaming louder than we do. Laughter's a distant memory, and though we share a bed, there's an ocean between us under those worn-out sheets. I kiss him goodbye each morning at 6 a.m., but there's no warmth in it, just habit. Then I'm off to work, leaving behind the echo of our silence. Greg's got his buddies, though, Nate and Travis, who are always around for poker nights or two. I remember that week in late October like it was etched into my bones. The air had turned crisp, biting at my skin every time I stepped outside, and the leaves were falling in heaps across our patchy lawn. Something felt off, heavier than the usual strain between Greg and me. It started on Monday, when I came home early from the dentist's office. I was in the kitchen, unpacking a bag of groceries, when I heard his voice drifting in from the garage, low, urgent, almost a growl. I crept closer, my sneakers silent on the linoleum, and caught fragments through the cracked door. "I owe 12 grand, man, I'm working on it," he hissed, his tone sharp with desperation. My stomach twisted. 12 grand? To who? For what? Then the creak of the floor under my weight gave me away. He spun around, saw me standing there, and slammed the phone down so fast I thought the receiver might crack. "Who was that?" I asked, my voice tighter than I meant it to be. He just shrugged, wiping his hands on a rag like nothing was wrong. "Work stress, Mel, don't worry about it." But his eyes wouldn't meet mine, and I knew he was hiding something. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there next to him, listening to his uneven breathing, wondering what he wasn't telling me. By Tuesday, I started noticing things I'd brushed off before. He was drinking more, coming home with the sharp tang of whiskey on his breath, not just a beer or two like usual. He'd stumble in late, after midnight sometimes, mumbling excuses about a long job at the shop. It's Sunday morning, and I'm sitting at our scratched-up kitchen table, the kind that's seen too many spilled coffees and late-night arguments. There's a mug of cold brew in front of me, untouched, the surface reflecting the dim light filtering through the blinds. Greg is across from me, his broad shoulders hunched, his hands fidgeting with a frayed napkin. He won't look at me, not even a glance, and the silence between us feels like a weight pressing down on my chest. Finally, he clears his throat, his voice low and ragged, and says, "Mel, I've got to tell you something. I'm in deep. $12,000 in debt to a local loan shark. He's been on my back for weeks, making threats." My breath catches, and I stare at him, waiting for the punchline that never comes. 12 grand. The number echoes in my head. the same one I overheard in the garage days ago. I managed to choke out, "How? How did it get this bad?" He mumbles something about bad bets on sports games, a side hustle that tanked, but it's like I'm hearing him through water, distant, distorted. My anger surges, hot and sharp, and I slam my hand on the table, the sound cracking through the quiet. "You hid this from me? You've put us in danger, Greg. How could you?" I'm yelling now, my voice raw, but he just sits there, head bowed, taking it. Then he says something that stops me cold. "I've found a way to clear it, Mel. I've got a plan." I blink, confused, waiting for him to explain, but nothing prepares me for what comes next. His voice breaks as he stammers, I talked to Nate and Travis. They've agreed to pay off the debt, in exchange for some time with you." The words hit me like a physical blow. My chest tightens, a vice squeezing the air out of me, and my ears start ringing, a high-pitched whine drowning out everything else. I can't have heard him right. I lean forward, my voice barely a whisper. Here I am, Monday morning, holed up in this rundown motel just off the highway, the kind of place where dreams go to die. The room is a mess of despair, peeling wallpaper, a flickering fluorescent light buzzing overhead like a dying insect, and the air thick with the stale stench of cigarette smoke that seeped into every fiber of the threadbare carpet. I'm sitting on the edge of the sagging mattress, my hands trembling as I try to piece together the wreckage of my life after Greg's confession yesterday. My heart feels like it's been ripped out, stomped on, and left to rot. I'm raw, lost in a storm of betrayal and disgust, replaying his words over and over, how he bartered me like some cheap commodity to settle his debts with Nate and Travis. I can't even look at myself in the cracked mirror across the room without feeling sick. I grab my phone, my fingers fumbling as I dial Jenna, my sister. The second she picks up, the dam breaks, and I'm sobbing, spilling everything. Greg's debt, his twisted deal, the way my world shattered in an instant. Her voice is steady on the other end, a lifeline in the chaos, but I can hear the anger simmering beneath her concern. "Melissa, you need to leave him, for good. Come stay with me, please," she pleads, her tone firm but warm. I want to say yes, to run to the safety of family, but I'm not ready to face their pity or their questions. I mumble something about needing time to think, and after a reluctant goodbye, I hang up, feeling even more alone. But I can't just sit here drowning in this misery. I need answers, need to understand how it came to this. So, with a shaky breath, I text Nate and Travis, asking them to meet me tonight at a quiet diner on the outskirts of town, a place far enough from prying eyes. The rest of the day drags on, each hour heavier than the last, until it's time to go. Driving there, my nerves are a live wire, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turn bone white. It's Tuesday now, and I'm back at that dreary motel room, pacing the cramped space like a caged animal. My footsteps echo on the worn-out carpet, each one matching the frantic beat of my heart. I can't sit still, can't think straight. My mind is a battlefield, torn between rage and shame. I despise Greg for what he's done, for sinking so low as to trade me like I'm nothing more than a bargaining chip. The thought of his betrayal burns like acid in my chest, searing through every memory of the life we built. And yet, here I am, wrestling with thoughts of Nate and Travis, thoughts I'm ashamed to even entertain. How could I even consider it after what Greg proposed? But there's this other part of me, this restless, reckless part, screaming to take control, to make a choice for myself after years of just drifting through my own story. I'm tired of being the passenger in my life, tired of letting others steer. For the first time in forever, I want to grab the wheel, even if it means driving straight into the unknown. I stop pacing, my breath ragged, and make the decision. I'm going to see them again. Not at the diner this time, but somewhere more private. I send a message, and soon enough, I'm heading to Travis's apartment. It's a small, cluttered place on the edge of town, the kind of space that smells faintly of motor oil and sawdust, Tools are scattered everywhere, half-finished projects leaning against the walls like they're waiting for someone to care. We settle on his worn-out couch, the fabric frayed at the edges, and there's a bottle of whiskey sitting on the coffee table, its amber glow catching the dim light. The air is thick with tension, so heavy I can feel it pressing against my skin. I look at Nate, then Travis, and the words spill out before I can stop them. I tell them I'm done with Greg, that I'm not going back to that house, to that life. But I also admit something I didn't expect. I'm curious. Curious about what could happen here, with them, on my terms. It's been 3 months since that intense night at Travis's apartment, and I'm still piecing together the fragments of who I am after everything that's happened. I'm sitting in my new place now, a small rental apartment just a few miles from the old house I used to share with Greg. It's not fancy, bare walls, a secondhand couch, and a kitchen table that wobbles if you lean on it too hard. But it's mine. I used what savings I had to secure it, and with the help of a lawyer friend, I've officially filed for divorce. Walking away from 18 years of marriage wasn't easy, but every time I think of Greg's betrayal, that cold, calculated deal he tried to make, I know I made the right choice. I've started working full-time at the dentist's office too, and there's a quiet strength in earning my own way, in knowing I don't have to rely on anyone else to keep the lights on. Independence tastes bitter some days, but it's a flavor I'm learning to savor. My connection with Nate and Travis has grown into something I never could have predicted. It's not conventional, not by a long shot, and I've felt the weight of judgment from people who used to call themselves my friends. Whispers follow me at the grocery store, and I've lost touch with folks who can't wrap their heads around the path I've chosen. But with Nate and Travis, there's an honesty I've never known before. We meet up sometimes separately, sometimes together, navigating this uncharted space with careful steps. There are nights when I'm with Travis in his cramped kitchen, the smell of garlic and olive oil in the air as we attempt to cook dinner. We laugh so hard over a pan of burnt pasta that my sides ache, and for a moment, the weight of the world slips away. Then there are late drives with Nate, the hum of his old truck filling the silence as we wind through back roads under a starlit sky. We talk about dreams I'd buried long ago, traveling to places I've only seen in pictures, starting over somewhere new, and I feel a flicker of hope I thought was, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.